we're in the studio this morning. FARAH MAALIM has joined us. FARAH, good morning, is the former Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. We're glad to have you in the studio today. Karibu Sana. Once again, you're with us to talk about issues that we see. Many words have been used, and we're going to jump right into it because we're in the middle of it right now. Border tensions. So many things have happened over the last few days. Expressions by the president in terms of, don't provoke between Somalia and Kenya. Don't provoke. And then we see 11 MPs making a trip to Somalia over the weekend. Let's start at the very beginning. What is the problem when it comes to the tensions that we see?
The problem is in twofold. First, about 8 years ago, we made a unilateral decision without any protocol in any way underlining it, and committed our forces to Somalia. We did not do it at the instigation of AU. We did not do it at as a UN resolution. We were not invited by the government of the day in Somalia. We made a unilateral decision and walked into Somalia, a region of Somalia called Jubaland. We then planted our own person, puppet, to be the president of that Jubaland. Now, over a period of time, the center was not holding. You see, this has not been just here. It had been replicated in a number of other places by Ethiopia also. They created six different states, and each one of them with a direct allegiance to a country in the neighborhood and not to the center in Mogadishu. So in a sense, the coming together of Somalia was sabotaged by the country and the countries in the region in a big way. Ethiopians went in. Before that, unilaterally, like Kenya went in. The Somalis have a historical issue with Ethiopians, so they decided we are going to resist this.
For the sake of resistance? Or
no,
based on the historical issues?
It's a historical. It's just like the Germans, it's just like the French and the British and the English. They fought for centuries. But of course, then of course the Somalis decided, the same guys have come and taken over our country. So they fought. They decided to fight and fight hard. The Ethiopians took numbers that essentially is unimaginable. They killed anything between 15,000 Ethiopian soldiers to 20,000 were killed in Mogadishu and its environs. And then finally they cut line and just took off, ran for the border. As for Kenya, because of the manner in which we had welcomed Somali refugees here, there has never been a historical problem between Kenya and Somalia. Minor things that were a creation of the colonial, legacy itself. In the case of Ethiopia, you're talking about hundreds of years, differences between themselves. Kenya was, by and large, welcomed by the people who were in the region itself and said, okay, if they can help us get rid of Al-Shabaab, fair enough. So we had that debate in Parliament, in which we as a Parliament also resolved to support our forces and the decision of our government in Jubaland. But at that time, I remember I did not chair that particular session. Merenda was sharing that session because I wanted to contribute to that session, being an interested party myself and coming from the neighboring constituency, as a matter of fact. I told them, we go in, we finish the job, we come out. We have entered, let's have an exit strategy as soon as possible. If we overstay our welcome, then we'll have a problem.
We'll create new problems.
We'll create powerful new problems. What did we do?
We went and camped there.
We went and we actually did not engage Al-Shabaab in that much. By the way, we lost less than 40 people in that whole thing. All the fighting was done by the Jubaland forces that were put together at that time. We lost over 1,000, 1,600, almost 2,000 lives. But what we did is we went straight to Kismayu. We created that corridor. And then we stayed put there and went into the business of now charcoal and sugar and God knows what.
So you're saying that Kenya went in and lost the plot in terms of
what
the initial plan was to be, to go in for a short period of time, come out, make sure that you at least instill some kind of peace and equilibrium. But then we went in to do something else. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
With the knowledge of the government?
You see, we were not, there's something called deep state in any country. We didn't know what the deep state had in mind. Those people who did that unilateral decision were just a handful of people. The chief of Kenya Defense Forces those days, Karangi, the president, of course, who was there, an intelligence boss. We don't know what exactly they had. And who, by the way, as you put it earlier, all came from just one community. They were all from one family. So we don't know. And then they stayed put there. At some stage, the changes came in Somalia, and there's a government that is working very hard to reestablish its own authority on the four corners of the country. As a result of those massive loss of life on the part of the Ethiopians in that very, very bloody adventure when they went in, the same guys who came out of there from one community called the Oromos, when they went back, they realized, these people who ruled us for centuries, even themselves, they can die, they can cry, they can be cowards. And then they started the struggle they call Khairo. Exactly the way our own independence struggle started. When Dedan Kimathi and Baimungi and all these guys went and fought in Bama, and they saw a white man cry.
They realized,
They realized, oh my God, this bullet is just as good in killing.
It kills people democratically.
It kills everybody.
Yes.
That's when we came back and had the Mau Mau struggle here, starting immediately. And that's what happened in all of Africa. Everywhere where there was a resistance, it came about because of our people being taken to wars elsewhere, and then they come back with a massive courage.
All right.
So then it's a result of that you actually have the revolution that took place in Ethiopia, which brought in Abiy. Dr. Abiy and Meles Zenawi and the Tigray and all this, the TPLF lost big time. The same thing happened in Sierra Leone. When Sierra Leone was a country that had a proper powerful center, but they sent peacekeepers into Liberia. And if you remember, that guy was called Strasser, Captain Strasser. He was part of the peacekeeping force. But when he came back, he overthrew the government that was there, of the man who took over from Siaka Stephen. What was his name? Momo or something?
It was called, I think, Momo.
Momo.
Yes. Yeah. The same thing happened also in Cote d'Ivoire. They got involved in Liberia. And then, of course, because they created, remember, Hafoi Boine was literally the blue-eyed boy.
He had been there from the very beginning.
Blue-eyed boy, the rich, and Cote d'Ivoire was the Paris of, Abidjan was the Paris of Africa. But because they felt they could go and mess a country in a neighbor and stay safe themselves, they never stayed safe. Cote d'Ivoire also became a failed state.
We're going to take a break. We're going to take a break, Farah, but I hear you already saying that Kenya went and has caused the mess.
Yes.
Kenya has caused the mess where they should have been helping, or felt that they were the leader or are the leader in the region and should be able to maintain some equilibrium, and didn't do that.
Actually, just do the job and get out and be there as a friend.
Kenya should have done the job and gotten out.
Yes.
We're talking about the simmering tensions, the diplomatic row between Kenya and Somalia at the moment. Joined in the studio today by FARAH MAALIM, who is talking to us about, what is the cause of all of this. Before we went in, the last question was, Farah, we're saying Kenya went in and basically messed things up and refused to leave?
Well, we are not doing the job we went in to do. We are not engaging Al-Shabaab. Yeah.
So what are we doing?
What are we doing there, sitting there? That's the point. We're not engaging Al-Shabaab. The last time Al-Shabaab engaged us in El Ade and in Kolbio, we're not engaging them.
Or the last time they engaged us was within our own boundaries.
Within our, in the case of Kolbio, yes. Kolbio was just there. I think it's somewhere there. They're engaging us in Lamu every day. They're engaging